I'm going to go to the next slide. Let's see if this works now. Let's try it. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide. And if you click on a few more, go to next slide, next slide, next slide, next slide, next slide, next slide. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, last message. You guys are amazing. Because see, I can see all of you. If you're falling asleep, I can see if you're falling asleep. And I don't see anyone falling asleep, so I praise God for that. It's hard after lunch. And this has been back to back, so God bless you guys, okay? Normally, I wouldn't do it this way, but I was like, I really want to do all the messages. And so thank you, Sean. So let's just pray, and we'll just one more message. Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for your rich blessings. And as we go through this last message, we just pray that your spirit will be here, and you will bless. In your name I pray. Amen. Now, so far I've been leaning hard on the men, but I'm going to lean just a little bit hard on the women because I have a bone to pick with the women. All right? Now, all the men here should know what is a frequent, serious, and significant complaint coming from the single Christian women today. And you guys should all know what it is. And the complaint is that the Christian men are not asking the women out. One of my friends was telling me that at Southern Adventist University, the women ask the men out via social media because the men are not initiating. That's what it's come to. I want everyone to know that this is not just an issue that's in the church. This is a global problem. Now, ladies, do you know why the guys are not asking you out? Now, at the top of the list, and keep in mind, I'm thinking of Loma Linda, Advent Hope, okay? Because there's a lot of Adventist singles in Loma Linda. At the top of the list, it's a combination of two things, which is rejection and shaming. Now, fear of rejection, next slide, ranks extremely high amongst fears. One of humanity's greatest fears. Fear of rejection doesn't just hurt, it shapes behavior. Now, rejection has always been hard. 50 years ago, it was hard. 1,000 years ago, it was hard. But especially today, not because it's new, but because now rejection is very permanent and public. I've heard that on TikTok, women will go to the gym, set up their phone, and then video guys who come up to ask them out, and then post the videos and shame these guys. So we live in a culture where guys don't even know what to do anymore. You know, you ask a girl out too many times, and now it's the whole Me Too, and now you're sexually harassing her or whatever. So it's like guys are just, they're afraid. Now there is an unwritten universal social norm. When a girl gets asked out by a guy and she says no, if the guy asks out any of her other friends, the friends are supposed to say no. First, out of loyalty to their friend who got asked out first. Second, no one wants to be the backup plan. And number three, if things don't work out, friendship dynamics can get weird. While this social norm is universal, at a place like UCLA, where there's 48,000 students, you ask out a girl, she says no, chances are you don't know any of her friends. But in a little fishbowl, like Loma Linda, or in our Adventist communities, because it's a relatively very small community, if you ask a woman out and she says no, you don't just feel awkward once. You see her every Sabbath, during Pollock, Advent Hope socials, at the university gym, maybe even until the Sunday law hits. Ladies talking and gossiping is just as rampant in the church as it is in the world. If you ask a girl out, even if she says no, she will then tell her friends. And now they all become off limits. And you're pegged as that guy. And no one wants to be that guy. I right now am speaking on behalf of the Advent Hope men. Okay? Yes?
My friends, single friends, they call it Advent Hopeless.
That's right. I mentioned that in one of my sermons. That's the reason why it's called Advent Hopeless. That's right, sister. One Advent Hope guy got rejected. He asked a girl out. She said no. So he asked another girl. She said no. I think he was a new guy. So asked another girl. She said no, and he became that guy. Just because he was trying to be proactive and pursue. I mean, what's a guy supposed to do? After you ask a girl out, you need to take off a whole year sabbatical? Is it like getting a traffic citation? Like after a couple years, it gets off your record and then you're free to get more tickets? One Advent Hope gentleman told me he was friends with two very nice girls, and he thought he could literally see himself dating either one of them. But if he asked one of them and they said no, well, then he couldn't ask the other one out. He said he knew he was cooked. He knew he would not be able to ask the other one, so he chose safety. And ladies, you know what safety looks like? Silence. I'm quoting an Advent Hope gentleman. It's a small community. Word gets out, and once you're pegged as that guy, there goes your chances. He used the word, you are cooked. They blast you. Getting asked out should be considered an honor, something special. But it sounded to me like getting asked out by a guy you are not interested in sounded more like you're getting exposed to some kind of nasty contagion. Slide. Did you hear what happened to Laura? Yeah, she got asked out. Be careful. Fred, he's very contagious. Or Fred, he's very thirsty, is what they would say. Everyone quarantine Fred. Did you hear that Fred asked someone else too? Ooh. He's like a super spreader. Laura, are you okay? I think I'm going to be okay. I just don't want anyone else to get exposed to Fred. It literally, that's what I was picking up is my friend was, it's like being in elementary school again. Fred has cooties. Ooh. I know I sound like I'm exaggerating, but literally these are the emotions I was picking up from my buddy. I got a gentleman back there going, Now, this is not isolated to just Loma Linda University. A reliable faculty member from Weimar University told me, at Weimar, a girl will date a guy, and if they break up, she will tell all her friends about all his red flags. And even though he's a good guy, when you date someone, you get to know them and just ruin his reputation. Now, when you ladies say that you want the men to ask you out, what you really mean is, I want a man that I find attractive and has all the qualities that I'm looking for to ask me out. Where are these men? And if the guys that ask you out doesn't fit these criteria, then you let him know that you're not interested. You see him as your brother, you friend zone him, which is fine. That is perfectly okay. But you know what? We got to stop putting these guys on blast. Now, your friend, you put him on blast, your friends are already biased against him, and you're really hurting his ability to, his reputation and sincere intention to date someone else. The man is getting punished for having the courage to go out on a limb and ask somebody out. All he did was ask you out. Now, I do understand, okay? When I write these scripts out for my messages, I actually have one or two females read through my entire script because I'm a smart guy. You know, us guys, we need women, you know what I'm saying? My wife was telling me about this message this guy was sharing, and she goes, oh man, he said this and this. I'm like, that's why he needs a woman to read the script. But anyways, and my friend, when she read the script, she goes, I think the women are going to agree with you on this point, but it's going to be hard for the women because women are naturally wired to share. Some guy just asked you out, even though you're not interested, you got to share that with your friends. My wife and I have a really great friend, a young man in his early 30s, and he was just sharing with my wife that, you know, some women had labeled him as being thirsty. For those of you who don't know what that term is, it just means like you're super desperate. He's nothing like that. We know him, but he's early 30s, and he's very intentional and deliberate about wanting to get married. He's at the top of my list. But see, when women label a man as being thirsty, that kind of stuff, would you want to be seen with a man who's labeled as thirsty? It's very damaging to a man's reputation. Next slide. Ephesians 4:29. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers. So ladies, many of you say men aren't asking you out, but when men who do take the risk are shamed or mocked for trying, this quietly discourages others from stepping forward. So what I want to encourage all of you ladies is that unless he is a danger or there are clear safety concerns, that if we could be careful not to shame the ones who genuinely try, because courage grows where grace exists. What if we try to protect the men? Okay? And think of this as like, how would I treat my own brother? What if this was my own brother? I would want to protect my own brother. I was at GYC many, many years ago, and I was asked to do a 2-minute promo on the front stage. I don't really like, there are things I like doing. I love public speaking like this, but I don't like certain kinds of promos, okay? Like going up in front of GYC with cameras on you, 3 ABN, and going to do a 2-minute. So I asked my friend Elise Harpelt to go do it for me. Some of you may know who she is. She spoke at Advent Hope in October. And I didn't know this, but she agreed, and she's a very eloquent speaker, much more eloquent than I am. She didn't have anything to wear, so she went out and got a nice black dress to wear. And she spoke up there for 2 minutes about our ministry. This guy was watching on 3ABN. I can't remember if he messaged me, because he's someone I actually know, like, Calvin, who is this gal? But he messaged her and initiated a conversation with her on Facebook. At that time in her life, she was not interested, even though she's single, but because of a prayer that she had made to God, she moved forward with dialoguing with him, okay? And came to know each other and discovered he's not her type. But they became friends. Towards the end of that year, she introduced him to one of her friends, and they got married. Isn't that a great story? Now, she could have been like, he asked me out, off limits. No. What a beautiful thing. And I was sharing her with this, and then she also told me another guy she dated that they broke up. Even after they'd broken up, she had set one of her friends up with one of her ex-boyfriends. That says a lot about somebody. All right? Now, men, I'm in no way encouraging shotgun dating. Asking out multiple close friends in a short window of time is not wise either. I want to encourage the men to be selective, not reactive. Be wise and use discretion. Now, moving on, a real quandary that I face as a matchmaker. There's a common denominator amongst almost every single person on my list. I don't care how godly he or she is. Almost every one of them wants to outkick their coverage. Are you familiar with that term, outkick your coverage? I don't really watch football. It's a football metaphor. And what it means is when the kicker kicks the ball so far that the coverage team can't get downfield in time. So it means doing something exceptional, or in dating, it means dating someone out of your league. I'm going to tell you a parable. This parable is inspired by true events. I made up the parable, but it's inspired by true events. Fred is a faithful member of Advent Hope, average-looking, nice guy. On a scale of 1 to 10, he's a 5. He really likes Laura. Fred thinks Laura is so cute. I talked to Laura, and she lets me know that she knows Fred, but she's not attracted to Fred at all. He's way too boring for her. But she would consider Brock. Now, Brock is a very good-looking guy, godly, of course. He's a 9 out of 10. I talked to Brock, and he lets me know that he knows Laura. She's a nice gal, but he's not interested in her in that way. He sees her like his little sister. So while Fred found Laura very attractive, Brock doesn't see her as attractive at all. Brock is keen on the new gal who just started attending Advent Hope. Her name is Mercedes. She is a Triple H. You know the Triple H? Can I give credit to the person who introduced me to Triple H or no? Yes? I love it. I learned that from a professional counselor that actually attends Advent Hope, who I was discussing this with. She's actually here in the audience. I loved it. He is interested in the she's a Triple H. Do you guys know what the Triple H is? Healthy, holy, and hot. Now, to me, it sounds more like a whole wheat bagel coming hot out of a toaster oven. But she's a 10 out of 10, Mercedes. It sounds better and hotter in Spanish. Mercedes. This is the reality that I deal with as a matchmaker. The comments that I get, she's not my type. There's no attraction. I'm not interested. Every guy and gal on my list wants to marry someone that is 2 notches above their pay grade. And I understand. But there are many who are putting in little to no effort. We are all applying for a position that technically requires more experience than we currently have. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as we're also willing to grow into the kind of person we're hoping to attract. Now, I emphasized in my previous messages the importance of prioritizing spiritual and character traits when looking for a future mate, right? Having said this, there is not a man who didn't pursue a woman that he didn't think was very physically attractive, and there's nothing wrong with this because God designed us to be attracted to beauty. However, this doesn't go just for the men. physical attraction is just as important for the women. A godly man who's involved in ministry, a friend of mine, in his 50s, posted a question on Facebook. He says, what do you ladies think of men who are going gray? One of the comments was written by a friend of mine. I know her. Godly mother, wife, active in ministry. You know what her response was? It all depends on his face. That's real. What she was saying in essence is, if he's good looking, gray, that's great. I mean, we're talking about like George Clooney. But if he's not attractive, well, maybe gray might not be so good. Her reply was candid and honest. There's a common belief that physical attraction is primarily a male concern, that men are visual and women are spiritual or emotional. But that's not entirely true. Physical attraction matters to women too. God created women with eyes, emotions, and desire, just like men. As much as we sometimes like to pretend that physical attraction is a worldly concern, that godly people don't care about such things, godly men and godly women still live in human bodies with human eyes, and attraction matters to both. However, for women, it is a bit deeper than this, and I will come back to this point later on, okay? All right, just pause. Moving on to another common misconception. The following is a common stereotype in our culture that says, if a guy asks a girl out and he's attractive, I mean, this guy's confident, he's got riz, then you're good. You know, he's cool if he's attractive. But if you're unattractive and ask her out, you're creepy. Now, you laugh because there's a grain of truth to this, but I will argue that it's also incomplete. What most women are reacting to isn't looks alone. It's context, delivery, and awareness. Presence matters a lot to a woman. For sure, attraction will lower a woman's guard, and confidence raises it the right way. But entitlement, pressure, or awkward persistence, that's what triggers the creepy label. What actually makes something feel creepy? Here's the honest breakdown. Next slide. Ignoring social cues, overstaying the moment, invading personal space, continuing after a clear no, intensity without relationship. None of the above involve bad looks. You can have a guy with movie star looks who can be creepy, and you can have a guy with average looks be very appealing. Now, I want to teach you a Korean word that summarizes all of this very succinctly. And the word is nunchi, okay? Directly translated is eye measure, nunchi, okay? It's a Korean concept referring to the subtle art of gauging others' moods, intentions, and the overall social atmosphere to respond appropriately and maintain harmony. So a Korean woman wouldn't say he's creepy. She would say he has no nunchi, like he has no social awareness. So I'm going to give you a few practical examples, okay? You ask her if she's free tonight. She says she has plans. Slide, please. The guy with nunchi, he says, no worries at all. It was nice meeting you. The guy with no nunchi, are you sure? Because I can wait. So, what are you doing tonight? All right? Do you see that? Confident guy versus creepy guy. Okay? It's not your face that's creeping her out, it's your inability to read the room. Next slide. The guy with nunchi, hi, my name is Calvin. What's your name? No nunchi. Hi, I asked 3 people if I should talk to you. Borderline, cringy. She tells you, I'm not sure we are a good fit. Okay, next slide. I want to know what you guys are saying. You guys are having too much fun here. So I'm like, she's fanning herself, and I could tell they're having a lot. So she tells you, I'm not sure we're a good fit. The guy with nunchi says, thank you for being honest with me. I really wish you the best. No nunchi. It's not the first time I've heard that before. God probably told you no. You finally just met for the first time and finished talking to that Christian Adventist guy or girl of your dreams. You have been waiting to meet for the last 3 months. The guy with nunchi, next slide, he says, it was good meeting you. No nunchi? I'm so happy to meet you. I'll see you again. I always do. Next slide. Confident guy. I've been attending Advent Hope for about 2 months and really enjoyed the messages here. Next slide. So do you always sit in that 14th row every Sabbath? Confidence asks, confidence initiates, creepiness keeps negotiating. Confidence leaves room for choice, creepiness removes the exit. It's not boldness that scares people, it's persistence without permission. Attraction may open the door, but character, especially respect, and determines whether you're invited to stay. But I do want to say, I mentioned earlier, attraction does matter even to the women, okay? Because I'm going to be talking about that too, okay? But it's deeper than that. Men, asking someone out respectfully is an act of leadership, not entitlement. A man who asks clearly, accepts say no graciously, and walks away with dignity will almost never be remembered as creepy, regardless of his looks. Attractiveness might get you noticed, but respect determines how you're remembered. So, dating commandment number 2, remember to exercise nunchi. Now, because I understand the pressures that men face these days and rejection is painful, I recommend taking the following steps. Next slide. I'm a firm believer in Proverbs 11:14 that there is wisdom in a multitude of counselors. Your trusted friends, your wingmen, ask them, what do you think of me asking out this certain person? If your friends that you trust sense strong disinterest or that she's way out of your league, that is helpful information, but it's not Bible prophecy either. Women are not spreadsheets. Attraction is not always logical, and sometimes respect grows because a man had the courage to ask. Ask your wingman, is there anything obvious I need to work on? Am I putting my best foot forward? If you don't have any friends, feel comfortable to come ask me, and I will be brutally honest with you. Now, I'm making an adjustment to this message based on new things that I've learned, okay? If you want to ask someone, is there anything I can work on? Don't ask someone of the same gender. Ask someone of the opposite gender. There's a thing called female and male gaze. I'm like, dude, I love your goatee and your mustache. But what I think looks good may be different from what women think looks good. Are you following me? It's very, very different. And so if all your guy friends are like, man, your stubble, it looks so good, your stubble, that's not helping you. So it's better to ask your friends that you trust of the opposite gender. That just makes sense, doesn't it? Now, if all your trusted friends tell you that you have no chance, then you're left with 2 reasonable answers. As one of my friends would say, beg or go home. Okay? Go for it. But you got nothing to lose. Wise men seek counsel, but brave men still ask. Asking her out doesn't require a vote, a committee, or a fleece. It just requires courage and respect. And you may consult the board, but ultimately you are the CEO. You have to make the decision. Joshua 1:9, next slide. Be strong and of good courage. Ultimately, a mature man can handle a gracious no without shame. Now, this is because rejection is such a big deal, and I understand. This is option 2, okay? I highly actually recommend it, and I think this works really, really good. Sometimes all you need is just a little detective work. I had a friend share that he really liked this girl at Advent Hope. She was a friend of mine. So I just said to her, hey, what do you think of so-and-so? And she honestly told me, she goes, oh, I know him, but oh, no, I would not date him. I went and told my friend. It hurt. But he was so thankful because I just saved him from asking her out, and now it would just make their relationship awkward. Follow me? I had another friend share with me that this girl was giving very positive vibes. He asked me what I thought, and I was like, oh, no, I think she's seeing somebody. I did a little bit of detective work and found out she's actually talking to somebody else. So what if he had asked her? Do you see how things would have gotten awkward? He was very thankful. So just a little detective work. You could just ask their friend's friend, like, hey, I would like to set these 2 up. What do you think? And she'd be like, oh, that's a great idea. Now, another story. There was this person, on this person for 2 years. The one person, she had a crush on the person. That person's friend told this person, like, hey, you're the only person they'd actually be interested in going out with. Gave that person the courage to go ask him. And so they started dating. You see that? So sometimes as friends, we can do that for help each other out, right? Because sometimes that's all we need. We just need a little bit of we just need to know the door is opening. My oldest is a junior at La Sierra. My youngest is a freshman. So as soon as they started attending, my youngest is a freshman. She's got girlfriends and little friends she's made. And one of the freshman boys said to her, "Hey, what are the chances your sister would go out with me?" Now, her sister's a junior, he's a freshman. And my youngest said to him, "No chance, bro." And I know my daughter, my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter wouldn't have an interest in this young kid anyways. But hey, that was smart of him, right? Because being rejected is hard. So, this is something I recommend. Now, I went to Pacific Union College. An hour away, at one of the students' homes, they were having a party on a Saturday night, like at the parents' home. Good social party. Late at night, 10 or 11, I need to get back to PUC. I caught a ride in my friend's car. And in the back seat, I was sitting in the back seat with another girl. I was a sophomore, she's a freshman. Beautiful Brazilian girl. And we just hit it off, conversating. We just got along really good. Came back to PUC, and we hung out almost probably every day, just hung out. We just hit it off really, really well. After a month, we went out on a real date. And then after the date, I said to her, "Hey, I really like you, you know what I mean? Like, as in, I would like to pursue something more." And she said, "Let me think and pray about it." Okay? The next day, I had a big biology midterm, and I failed it. I got a D. But anyways, we got together, and then she was very open and honest with me about, like, "You know what, I thought about it, and I think," basically, she friend-zoned me, okay? But she was respectful about it. She didn't go tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody, so it's not like anyone ever knew. And then we just stayed friends. Now, we were no longer the friends like we were before hanging out, right? Which we were hanging out all the time as buddies, but that's what happened. Well, I learned something from that. Now, the following year, I met a girl. She just started coming to PUC, and we started hanging out, and I really liked her. And she told me, because at that point, she didn't know I liked her, she just told me in passing that, yeah, she had broken up with some guy a while ago, and this year she's not even interested in relationships. No interested in relationships. And so we just hung out. We were just buddies. And because I knew she was not interested, I'm not going to in any way let her know that I like her. Now, after a month or two, I'm really going crazy now. Just like Steven, right, Steven? Like, I really like her. So I have two options. One is I could tell her that I like her, and then guess what's going to happen? Friend zone. So I'm not going to do that. And then from the year before, I learned my lesson, right? So all I did was we just became buddies, hanging out almost every day. Because at least hanging out with her every day was better than not getting to hang out. And when she would get asked out by guys, I was her go-to excuse. "Oh, I'm hanging out with Calvin." So, like I'm her safe space, right? Now, she felt comfortable around me because I'm the guy that doesn't like her. As far as she knows. Are you following me? She doesn't know that I like her. And then about 3 months in, one day, she comes up from behind me and she wraps her arms around my waist. And right there, I knew that my patience, not persistence, because I wasn't persistent, my patience had paid off. And then we started dating, okay? So I share this because had I told her too soon that I like you, it would have come up. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the thing is, I truly believe that this is one of the best methods for dating, especially if you date somebody who's above your pay grade. Starting your relationship with friendship so they get to know you without any pressure. Now, I believe soul winning and dating have a lot in common, so I recommend applying evangelism principles to dating. Now, next slide. You're all familiar with Christ's method alone brings true success in reaching the people. The Savior mingled with men as one who desired their good. He showed his sympathy for them and ministered to their needs and won their confidence. Then he bade them follow me. And we as Adventists, we haven't even won their confidence. We're like, you got to worship on this day. You got to stop eating this. But this is such an important principle if you want to be an effective soul winner. In the same way, Christ's method alone can give true success in reaching a girl's heart. Mingle with the women you want to date as one who desires her good. Show your sympathy to her, minister to her needs, win her confidence, and then say, "I really like you. I've been praying about this, and I'd like to pursue you intentionally and exclusively. Would you be open to that?" Okay? Now, part 2. Plan carefully what to leave unsaid. Here's what Ellen White says. In evangelism, she says, you need not feel that all the truth is to be spoken to unbelievers on any and every occasion. You should plan carefully what to say and what to leave unsaid. This is not practicing deception. It is to work as Paul worked. He says, being crafty, I caught you with guile. Especially if you're trying to catch someone's heart, all right? But my point is, in this situation with this gal, by not having to tell her and confess to her my feelings, probably is what worked out for our relationship to grow. Now, what's that? No. It's another long story. Now, in today's harsh dating climate, I think dating as friends is really the best way to go, okay? It's a way to get to really know somebody. But I do want to add this, something important. Friendship first works beautifully in certain seasons of life, especially in college or early grad school, when time feels expansive. But as we grow older, clarity becomes kindness. In your 30s, you can't just hover indefinitely in we're just friends mode if deeper interest is forming. Friendship is a foundation, not a permanent holding pattern. Mature dating requires both patience and timely honesty. If mutual interest is growing, at some point, maturity requires naming it. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? So yeah, in your 20s, this may work better, but once you're in your 30s, and you're going to see from a story that I share later, it's a little bit different, okay? Now, dating commandment number 3. Slide. Proverbs 4:23 tells us to guard our hearts. I think normally we apply this more to women, but I think it applies to men and women, and we need to guard our hearts. My recommendation personally is, and keep in mind, because the Bible doesn't give us specific advice on dating, it gives me a lot of latitude, okay? So I'm just applying Bible principles. Keep it on the down low. If you like some guy or girl, don't tell everybody. You do, chances are, anytime you tell someone a secret, you have to assume that eventually it's going to get to that person. Because if you share it and it gets back to that person, prematurely walls may go up that you don't want. So keep it on the down low. I have a really big pet peeve when it comes to dating, when people are trying to set people up, and it's when grown adults act like junior high students when they're trying to set people up. It looks like this. Do you like him? What do you think of him? Does she like you? Do you like her? Do you like her? Do you like her? And my request is, please stop, okay? As a self-certified professional matchmaker, let me share with you how I like to connect to people, okay? In an ideal situation, okay? Are you guys just dating or married? In an ideal situation, I would have you come over to some event or my house. I'd have you come over with other people and not even know that you guys are trying to be, I'm setting you guys up. That's what I would do. So you just come and you're just hanging out and see if sparks fly. You would notice, you'd be like, oh, I noticed this guy. Or maybe you're not interested. Maybe later on, I might, what's your name? I'm going to call you Ellie for short. Okay? I'd be like, Ellie, hey, what did you think of so-and-so? And you'd be like, oh, yeah, you know what I mean? I'd like to get to know her. You see what I'm saying? Now, let's just say you lived far away. I'd invite you to come over to my house for the weekend, which I've done things like that. Invite you to come to my house, and then make an arrangement where you know that I want you to meet her, but I wouldn't tell her. Do you see what I'm saying? Then there's no pressure. People just love to be junior high, set people up, and then everyone's watching them the entire time. They do this all the time, and there's so much pressure. It's so awkward, and it's uncomfortable. Pressure is very important when you're scuba diving. Air pressure. In an airplane, cabin pressure is important, lung pressure. But in dating, almost always pressure is not useful. So let's get rid of that. No matter how much you enjoy doing that, you got to eliminate that. Now, that's how ideally I set people up. Now, given that I am connecting people from different parts of the United States, and I'm dealing with mature people, the majority of the people are in their 30s, I just literally will send a text. I go, hey, look, hey, Ellie, I want to introduce you to Michelle, and well, let's see if you guys make a connection. And at that age, they're intentional, and they'll actually text each other. And I've got a number of people who are talking right now. I got a couple that's dating. So that's what I do now, because I don't have the luxury to invite you both into a situation. But you get the point that I'm making. Yes. I do. Remind me to mention something afterwards. Remind me to mention something. I don't know, okay? Now, let me scroll through this. Now, I want to share with the men how you can raise your level of attractiveness without compromising your faith, okay? Something I don't like to hear, because I've been involved in ministry for years, is I hate when grown men and women say, that's not fair. The sooner you realize life's not fair, the happier you're going to be, okay? So fairness is a modern obsession. It's not biblical. If life was fair, I would be 6'3" with blue eyes. But this is the card I was dealt with. That's just the reality, okay? Now, the Bible underscores that life's not fair with the parable of the talent. One was given 5, one was given 2, one was given 1. The point is everyone was given at least 1 talent. Let's be honest, we're not all equally attractive. Recently, one of my wife's girlfriends told my wife, you're a 10. Your husband, he's a 7. This didn't bother me one bit for a number of reasons. First, 7 out of 10, that's 70%. That's passing. If you're in med school, step 1 boards, that's pass or fail. I just passed. My wife will tell you that I am one of the most positive people you will ever meet. If she's a 10 and I'm a 7, this is good news for me. I married up. If you want to feel sorry for someone, you should feel sorry for her. She married down. I'm like a rescue. If you're a rescue, you are blessed. God bless those people who rescue and adopt. Now, if they said I was a 3 or 4, it wouldn't bother me at all. First, it's just one person's opinion. I know that there are people who think I'm a 10. My mom. Secondly, my worth is in Jesus. My worth in Jesus is infinite. Having said this, I'm a realist, so let's be honest. Attractiveness does matter when it comes to dating. And I stated earlier, everyone naturally wants to date someone who's 2 notches above their pay grade. So this leaves us with 2 options. One is we need to realign our standards, make better our standards, and seek to marry someone in our own pay grade. This is what I advocated in my first message. Yes, I know it's the unpopular suggestion. I know it's the suggestion where people go, amen, but that's not the suggestion they like, okay? Now, option 2 is if you are intent on dating someone who is 2 notches above your pay grade, the obvious solution is to raise your equity to maybe 1 to 2 to even 3, 4 notches higher. Now, what I am proposing is not a farce or an absurd. So to illustrate my point, here are a few examples. If you have a lot of money, next slide, it can make you instantly attractive. You all know this story. This guy's, 90-something, 90-year-old billionaire, and he was dating Anna Nicole Smith, 20-something-year-old model.
He's a millionaire, he's 40 and he's dating 23 years.
See? My point is you're attractive. If you're rich, you instantly become, it will hide all your other flaws. Next slide. Pete Davidson is known for dating a string of high-profile celebrities and models, and he's a famous comedian. Why? Because he can make women laugh. You can make a woman laugh, you become instantly attractive. Now, my point is not that we all try to become rich or learn to be funny, because either you're funny or you're not, okay? It's either you're born with it or you're not. And the chances of you becoming a billionaire is like, they say it's like winning a lottery. It's 1 in a million chance that you'll become a billionaire. So I'm sorry, none of us here, unlikely, are ever going to become a billionaire, okay? Now, but what I want to show you how you can raise your equity in a practical way, okay? So, I was a first-year dental student at Loma Linda, and I almost always studied in the library. And there was a very pretty blonde girl who was there regularly all the time at the library. I'd see her all the time. You just notice she's there. And I could tell she was popular because guys would always come by and talk to her, or they're sitting there with her. Now, she was beautiful. She was not even a secret crush. You know, sometimes you have a secret crush. It was not even like that. I had no interest because she was like way out of my league anyways. First, she looked like a woman. I was 22. Later, I found out she's 24. So she's older than me. She looks like a woman. I always look super young, so I look like I just came out of puberty, okay? I had just enough EQ, just enough pride, and just enough healthy insecurities to know to just stay in my lane. I just stay in my lane. I'm the guy with the nunchi, not the creepy guy, okay? I didn't even have an interest to say hi. Like she walks by, I'm not even trying to that's not me. One Sabbath, I had invited my friends who were really good singers to come sing at the Riverside Korean Church where I was one of the leaders. So I'm standing in the parking lot waiting for my friends to arrive, and the two friends arrive, and this blonde girl is with them. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. So I just say hello. And then I said to her, hi, I didn't know you were part of this group. My name's Calvin. Nice to meet you. That was it. Now, they came, they sang special music. After potluck, we all ended up going to the mountains to hang out. And that afternoon, we just hit it off. Now, I was following just the number one rule of dating. You know what the number one rule of dating is, right? Next slide. Don't be weird. That's simple. We just hit it off. And I think we saw each other pretty much every day that week, and then pretty much within a week or two, we just started dating, okay? Now, I remember walking somewhere, I think we were in the city, and like people would literally gawk at us because we just looked so mismatched. Like I'm sure they're like, is this little guy from like Hong Kong and super rich or something? Like why is she with him kind of a look, okay? So anyways, what I did was I just pretended like I was in her league, although I was clearly not in her league, okay? So I just play it cool. Now, once we were officially, this is important, officially boyfriend and girlfriend, I said something to her that you shouldn't say ever before ahead of time. I said to her that I used to see her in the library all the time. Do you see why it's important? I didn't say that until after we were dating. You go, I see you in the library all the time. So I told her after we started dating, I go, I used to see you in the library all the time. Guess what she said? I wish. She told me she had never ever seen me before. I was a little taken aback. I'm like, I've seen you all the time. Like sometimes we're not even that far away from it. And she goes, I've never seen you before. Okay, maybe it's true all of us Asians do look alike. I don't know. Okay. I was like a fly on the wall. I was invisible. But here is the reason why I'm sharing this story. She told me what had attracted her to me was that when she met me at the church in the parking lot, she said it was the way that you greeted me. She goes, you were so confident. Well, I was confident because I knew who she was. Like this girl I always saw, and I was just like, I didn't know you're a part of this group. My name's Calvin. Nice to meet you. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And so at 22 years of age, I realized and learned how much a difference confidence makes. Now, for those of you who heard my testimony, I used to live out in the world for years. I was in nightclubs night after night after night. And I would have friends. And these girls that would, from Loma Linda, they're my friends, we'd go to these clubs. You know what these girls would tell me? Over and over, they would just tell me how when these guys are confident, it was such an attractive thing for these girls. Some of these guys, not good looking at all, but when a guy is confident, it is such an appealing factor for women. So when I look back, I was a leader at the church. I had invited them to sing. I probably introduced them to the church before they sang. She perceived leadership, and this probably translates to more confidence. So this is something that we men can learn to be confident. The first and strongest place to build confidence is who you are in Christ. Your worth, validation, and acceptance. Confidence rooted in your identity in Christ is unshakable. Cultivate your relationship with Jesus. Self-discipline, exercising regularly, eating well, sleep enough, physical discipline translates to mental strength. Personal growth, set small goals. Now, have you ever met a surgeon who didn't exude confidence? Did you ever meet a surgeon who's kind of like, just looks incompetent? No. A surgeon didn't just become a surgeon overnight. He set a goal, he had a plan, and he accomplished lots of tiny little goals to become the surgeon that he is. Never had a surgeon who wasn't confident and competent. Now, next slide. Shauna is a good friend of mine, and we worked together in ministry for years, okay? I saw her go through this transformation. I'm going to share with you her testimony. The reason I decided to get healthy and lose weight was first and foremost for myself. I reached a point in my life where I wanted to be a healthy weight so I could truly enjoy the activities. I love hiking, cycling, running, and being active without limitations. What I didn't realize at the time was that I would gain so much more than physical health along the way. The greatest thing I gained was confidence. And I truly believe that confidence played a major role in leading me to my husband. She says, let's be honest, many of us women lose our confidence when we gain weight. I know I did. As the weight came on, I slowly lost my confidence, my hope, and even a sense of who I was. But when I lost 50 pounds, my confidence soared. I felt good about myself again. I was so proud of myself. I no longer felt the need to hide in pictures, and I finally felt comfortable in my own skin. That confidence naturally showed, and the confidence is incredibly attractive. These are her words. After I reached my health goals, I met my husband through an online dating app called Avenus Dating. He was everything that I wanted, but he was overweight. He had all the qualities that she wanted. What mattered was his heart. His profile spoke so clearly about his love for God and his relationship with him, and that was what was most important to me. I also knew that together, we could encourage one another to live a healthier lifestyle and that I could help him lose the excess weight. Next slide. Today, we are happily married, fit, healthy, and committed to living our lives for God. Looking back, choosing to get healthy didn't just change my body, it restored my confidence, strengthened my faith, and led me to the life and marriage I am so grateful for. Now, do you see how confidence goes both ways? How you can actually build your confidence. Now, I had a picture of him before and after when he was big, but I discarded it because the reality is when he was filled out, my wife, I thought so too, but when I showed my wife goes, his face looks better when he was overweight. His face was just more fuller, you know what I mean? So I just left that picture out. But he looks good here, doesn't he? He looks good. But in the before and after, the before, he actually looks better, you know what I mean? But now, my friend Shauna, she's on a mission to help others to gain confidence in a healthy way. And she will be glad to help you. Next slide. If any of you are interested in contacting you, because what she does, it works. And it's in a healthy way. And so if any of you are interested, feel free, because she's always wanted, and that's how I asked her for her story. And so she shared it with me. Men, let's get something very clear. Your worth was secured at the cross. Your salvation isn't measured in inches or pounds, hairlines, or wardrobes. You don't have to earn God's love, but women, well, they have eyes, emotions, and desires. And while God's love is free, theirs has to be earned. Who you are in Christ is how you present yourself. That is daily stewardship, and stewardship matters. This isn't about vanity. It's not about being shallow. It's about being responsible, respect, and leadership. Women, they notice presence, confidence, effort, and care. Just like men notice certain physical cues, women do too. It's not sin, it's design. A friend of mine who is on my singles list, probably one of the most godly women on my list, she told me that she saw a guy and the way he dressed gave her anxiety. Men, we don't really want to be causing women anxiety by the way we dress. Now, I was telling my wife about one of the guys at Advent Hope who's on my list who really wants to get married. I told my wife he could go from a 5 to a 6 if he just got a good haircut and dressed a little bit nicer. Do you know what my wife said? My wife goes, no. He could go to a 7 or an 8. Because I was underestimating. I was like, I think I could take him to a 6. And she goes, he could go to a 7 or an 8. Guys, you don't need a complete makeover to show up well. You don't need a six-pack or a personality transplant. You can do this not by changing who you are, just by stewarding what you've been given. Now, at Advent Hope, I'm not speaking to all the men, okay? Keep in mind, this message is designed for Advent Hope. Half the men, they dress and look sharp. But there's another half that needs a little bit of mentoring. Now, next slide. Incredible photos before and after. A haircut prove a good barber is like a plastic surgeon. Now, these pictures aren't from this site because I found better ones. Next slide, please. What would you rate this very nice-looking guy on a scale of 1 to 10? Now, I know when I ask people that, people struggle and stuff, but just be honest. What would you rate this guy on a scale of 1 to 10? 6? Okay, 5? You guys are much more generous. I asked 2 godly women in their 50s. They're my age, in their 50s, godly women. Both of them said he's a 4. Okay, you guys are more generous. Okay? So whatever, let's say he's a 4 or 5. Now he just gets a haircut. Next picture. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, well, I would rate him An 8. I don't know. 8 right there to me. 7? 8? It might be 9? Hey, next slide. Man. Yeah. Okay. Hey, just a haircut. Just a haircut. Okay? And some contacts or whatever, you know. All right? Now, let's go to the next guy. Okay? Okay. Unless you have a certain kind of face, gentlemen, no bangs. No bangs, okay? All right? Next slide. Nice looking kid, what would you rate this guy? Be honest, come on. What would you rate him? 4? Okay, I agree, 4. 2? 2? Next picture? Maybe a 2 here? Okay, just a haircut. Next slide. What would you rate him? Really? I thought he's good looking. He looks like a young Eric Estrada or something. I mean, I would rate him I thought he was an 8 at least or 9. Next slide. Hey, not bad. That's just a haircut. Okay. This guy went from a 0 to a hero just with a haircut. Okay, last one. Okay, next picture. What would you rate this dude? I mean, I like that. You can see potential. But remember what I said about potential earlier, folks. We do not evaluate based on potential. See, that's the problem, right? Patterns. Okay? Next slide. 5? Okay. What do you think here? 9.5. Yeah, sister. I like it. Hey, next picture. Okay, see this? Next picture. Boom. He went from geek to chic with just a haircut. Okay? I'm going to be here. This is a limited audience. I'm just going to be honest with you. I have to be more careful what I say at Advent Hope because then it goes on Audioverse. But there is a certain percentage of the guys, I'm like, man, dude, let me just take you for a haircut. Your hair looks greasy. It's too long. And different styles are for different people. But you need to ask a woman what style would look good on me. Go to a good barber, okay? Okay? Now, a neat haircut isn't about fashion magazine perfection. It's about attention and care. It communicates respect for himself, respect for others, discipline. Women don't expect perfection, but they expect effort. Now, maybe you have stubble and you think is attractive, but the women don't. What do you want? Do you want what you think looks good? What the women find to be attractive? Now, I made a suggestion to a gentleman on my list. He told me others have told him the same thing. Okay, when others are telling you the same thing, it's time to listen. You know what I'm saying? I am a firm believer that the market is usually almost always right. Dress with intent. You don't need a designer wardrobe. You just need clean clothes that fit. There's basics, like your shoes and your belt should match. Brown shoes, can't have a black belt. Real basic stuff. And some of these men, my wife will point out, she goes, wow, so-and-so, he just dresses sharp. He looks good. People notice, I even notice that. Now, when you come to church, I'm going to be encouraged to Advent Hope folks. I want you to shoot for what I call the 3ABN look. Many are coming like they look like the same as they did in academy days. When you go to 3ABN, they have a dress code. You're going on TV. They want you looking sharp. You will want to look your best. Classy, modest, sharp. Do you guys know what bacon neck is? I don't. Oh, man, I forgot to put this in the slide. This is when your t-shirt gets so stretched out, it gets wavy like a bacon, and then it's getting worn out. Okay, no, you leave it here. That's fine. That's why men need wives. Unless you're going to Home Depot, you should never be wearing a shirt that looks like that. I have friends. They're wearing their scrubs with these shirts underneath. And I'm like, you didn't see patients like that, did you? I mean, you're a professional. You know what I'm talking about, where it's all frayed here and the elastic's worn out? Your posture and body language. Posture is leadership without words. A confident stance says, I can lead. A lot of men, they stand like this, okay? This is the equivalent of saying, I'm confident, but only internally. You look like you're waiting to argue with customer service. It says, I don't know what to do with my hands, and I refuse to admit it. Now, I worked with Pastor Ira Myers for many years. Do you know who Pastor Ira Myers is? He crosses his arms all the time. But when you're 6'2" and you look like Ira Myers, you cross your arms all day long. Because he's got pecs and he's got triceps. And then when he's talking to you, he'll do this. If you're Ivor, you can do that. But for most of us, we got to knock this off, okay? I only added this because my friend who wrote the script, her brother does it all the time, but he won't listen to her. So he goes, well, you add that in there. So I had to add that in there. You know, because no one wants to listen to their sister, right? But it's because the sister cares. Even if you're nervous inside, your body can speak confidence before your voice does. Hit the gym, work out. Something that I love doing is exercising. When you take care of your body, moving it, strengthening it, something shifts internally. Confidence rises. Now, I'm going to skip down here. Jesus told the parable of the talents to teach this. God cares about what you do with what he gives you. Modern translation, don't bury your potential under a bad posture, a dated haircut, and a hoodie. Now, men, we don't need to go to a 9 or a 10, but God does expect you to take your 5 and turn it into a 7. That's not vanity, it's stewardship. A little effort doesn't make you vain, it makes you responsible. I want to talk about communicating. When you communicate clearly and with purpose, people perceive confidence, even before they know your competence. When asked a question, and I'm really giving you feedback just based on my interaction with the people on my list, try to be as direct and honest as possible. Don't be dismissive. When someone asks you a direct question and you're kind of vague, this doesn't lead to building trust and confidence. Do you ramble? I meet a lot of people who just ramble on and on and on. They transition from one topic to another. And this is kind of a symptom of being insecure. They ramble when they're unsure they're being heard or. A good way to guard yourself from rambling is to replace that insecurity with curiosity. Start asking questions and start listening. A common complaint from the ladies is a guy who can't stop talking about himself. And being a good listener means asking more about the other person than talking about yourself. The Bible says a little bit of honey is sweet, but too much will make you throw up. It's like a good song. It'll grow on you. You play it once, you like it, listen to it 10 times, don't want to hear it anymore. Constant texting, oversharing, future talk, emotional dumping, even with good intentions, can overwhelm attraction. Now, I want to talk, this is for the men. Because we're naturally not great listeners, me included, I am not a good listener. I have to be intentional to try to remember the things that my wife tells me. So I'm going to teach you how to listen well. Teach you how to score points with the ladies, okay? Ladies, you can tune yourselves out for this part. When a woman starts talking, stop everything you're doing, put your phone down, give her your undivided attention, like she just whispered to you, I buried a body. Now she's going to talk for a while. Eventually she will pause to breathe. When that happens, you say this very simple phrase. Tell me it isn't so. You have just communicated, I'm listening, I'm tracking, I understand the emotional weight of the situation, even if you have no idea what she just said. A little later, she'll pause again, this time say, tell me more. Now you've leveled up. You're telling her, not only am I listening, but I'm interested in what you have to say. At this point, don't be alarmed if her face lights up and her energy shifts. Women are not used to men who listen this well. You're now sending all kinds of powerful silent messages like, I'm safe, I'm present, I'm not trying to fix this. And now, here's the kicker, okay? This is where legends are made. The next time she pauses, you lean in slightly and say, and how did that make you feel? You have just told her you care about her feelings without ever having to say you care about her feelings. Tell her you're emotionally available without telling her you're emotionally available. At this point, you don't need advice, you don't need solutions, you don't even need opinions. Just keep listening and keep racking up the points, okay? Now, I'm debating whether to share this or not. Okay. Okay. Only because this is a smaller audience. No. Okay. Only because this is a smaller audience. I'm going to do this afterwards. I'm going to share it after I'm cut. It's not live streamed, okay? That's going to be safer. Okay? Now, do you have a glaring faux pas that is obvious to everyone around you and you are oblivious to it? This young man, Cody, was asking for dating advice on a talk show. He shared that he couldn't get past the first date for over 8 years. So he's able to at least get a first date, but he couldn't get to the second date. He shared that he was quirky, and he dressed a little quirky. He looks like he dresses a little quirky, no big deal. He prided himself on his car. He had a Cadillac. There was only one problem. Can anyone guess what kind of Cadillac it was? Next slide. It was a hearse. You know what a hearse is? It's when someone dies, a funeral. It's a funeral car. Station wagon, big old station wagon for the coffin. And he loved his Cadillac hearse. The talk show host asked him, who gives dating advice, just man to man, what do you think you could do different to get a woman to go with you on a second date? Cody said, I don't know. The talk show host said, we all in here know. Cody, listen to me. We all know the answer to this. We just trying to help you get there. Ain't a person in here that don't know what's wrong. As a matter of fact, you the only person in here who don't see this. Try really hard. What is one thing you could do to produce a second date? Cody replied, I know where you are going. The talk show host said, you see, we trying to get you to go there too. He said, I'm not getting rid of it. Proverbs 14:12 says, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death, or dating death. And the problem is some of us men, like Cody, we don't see the glaring and obvious faux pas. That's why we need an honest friend who can give us feedback. Proverbs 24:26 says, an honest answer is like a kiss of friendship. Next slide. Years ago, I read a book called Talent is Overrated, and I'm going to summarize this book. What makes people world-class athletes or musicians or artists? 2 things. Just practice alone will not do it. Imagine you practicing basketball every day by yourself. That ain't going to make you into a world-class athlete. You need to practice, and you need somebody else to watch you and coach you and guide you and critique you and telling you what you're doing wrong. You can apply this to anything that you're doing. And so I'm just applying this to dating, and sometimes some of us, we need an honest friend. And maybe we need to ask, because no one's going to tell me honest advice, my wife will, unsolicited advice. And so sometimes we may have to ask our friends, hey, maybe you can give me some advice. Now, let me skip through this here real quick. I am willing to help anyone and everybody who is humble enough to listen and open to suggestions. But there's not enough grace in the world for the person who is stubborn or who refuses critique or instruction. If you are like Cody, I'm an amateur matchmaker, not a miracle worker. I can't help you. All I can do is offer to pray for you. And prayer may not even be enough. Now, on this note, I have to mention the following, okay? As a matchmaker, when someone asks me to help them find a mate, do you know where I go to glean information about them? Where do I go to glean information about them? Their social media. What you have to realize when you're single, your social media page is like your LinkedIn profile for dating. It's your business card, it's your website. And I cannot tell how often I go on there and I'm just like, wow, this is what I gotta work with. Because if I tell you about this guy, you're gonna go check out his profile. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? So I just have to mention that so that you're aware of this. A lot of the young people, it's hip to have no pictures on your Instagram. You have to follow them. It's a locked profile. That's just not very smart. I mean, I don't even understand why the young people do it. My daughters have kind of explained why. It's kind of the cool thing to do. But you should have at least 5 to 6 pictures on there that shows a little about who you are. I have a few friends on my list. They have classy Instagram pages. It shows you who they are, what their interests are, and it's beautiful. I had one friend, most of her pictures were all pictures of her friends. I go, what's up with this? She goes, oh, I use my Instagram to showcase my friends. Yeah, but you're the one who wants to get married. Okay? For right now, let's focus on you. All right? Now, time has just flown by. I'm going to really wrap this up, okay? I can't believe the time has flown by. Okay. Now, this is important. For the ladies, time is not an equal resource between men and women. I know you all understand this when it comes to dating and building a family. I've seen too many amazing women give away the best years of their life to a guy who just upped and moved on. Can you go to the next slide? A woman says her ex-boyfriend wasted her childbearing years after ending their 10-year relationship just as she was ready for marriage. Now, 34, she feels he owes her for the time she can't get back and wants him to pay back. Who's at fault here? He bears responsibility for taking advantage, but she bears responsibility for allowing it to continue. I always advise at the end, 1.5 to 2 years, if there's no talk of marriage, kick him out the door. Time to walk away. Just as wise governments refuse to negotiate with hostage takers, wise women should not negotiate with indecision. No drama, no debate. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to give a man a reality, walking away. A friend of mine, her boyfriend was struggling in the valley of indecision. The senior pastor of Loma Linda University Church, Randy Roberts, told her, walk away. She walked away. It was hard. Do you know what happened? He woke up. They've been happily married for many, many years now. Their daughter now attends Advent Hope. I'm not urging women to be impatient. I'm urging women to protect their time, dignity, and future. My friend moved to Loma Linda. She told me her biological clock was screaming at her. She was 31 and not playing around. She was dating to marry, full-time, intentional, mission-driven. She said she'd date a guy for about 3 months and then hit him with the, so is this going somewhere? Or should I free up my calendar? Ultimatum. If he didn't know by 3 months, I was already refreshing my list of potential candidates. She told me she broke a few hearts along the way. A couple of guys even messaged her after she got engaged and said, I should have married you. You snooze, you lose. She said, I had warned them, though, and never looked back. She says, I love my hubby, and we have a harmonious marriage. She's a smart girl. I want to encourage the ladies to protect something else that is very important. There's one powerful motivator for men, sexual access. If a man receives that, it removes much of the incentive to step up, sacrifice, and commit. You're familiar with the old saying, why buy the cow if the milk is free? It's meant to explain incentive. What you give easily is rarely, and sometimes just is freely given with no commitment required. Many men won't feel the urgency to commit. That doesn't make a man bad. It makes him human. Men are wired to pursue, invest, and commit when something valuable requires effort, sacrifice, and responsibility. Sexual access is leverage, whether people admit it or not. When a woman gives it away, she often loses clarity about his intentions, his character, and his willingness to commit. A man who truly values you will wait, invest, and prove himself. A man who is a protector will not be pushing you for this. Purity isn't weakness, it's leverage. For the men, if you are a true protector, you will protect a woman's time and her purity. Research suggests that it takes roughly 6 months for people to know if their dating partner is the one for marriage. Ladies, do you know how you know if the man thinks that you are the one? He takes you to introduce you to his mama. Now, if it's been a year and you still haven't met his mama, chances are you might not be the one. I'm going to skip through here because I'm going to land the plane, okay? Oh, okay. This is important. This is important. This helps me because now I know what to whittle out for next week, okay? This is important for the men to know. In the beginning, especially the first 2 to 3 months, move forward, but men need to move slowly. We men are like microwaves. We get turned on quickly. Women are like crock pots. It takes time for women to warm up. 2 people I know hit it off, met at one of our events. I was excited. They're both my friends. She was interested, he was interested. They went back home after the event. He was excited. He thought this is the one. He made plans and moved from his state where he was in 4 or 5 states away to the city where she was in. She did not want him to do this. Too quick, too fast. You know what happened when he moved up there? Her feelings just dissipated. She broke it off. On paper, it looked romantic. In reality, it created pressure before trust had time to grow. The gal didn't feel pursued. She felt rushed. And once a woman's feelings shift from safety to overwhelm, they rarely recover. A woman's attraction is more like a fireplace. You build slowly, kindling patience, and once it's going, it will warm the whole room for a long time. A man's attraction can be like fireworks. Instant, big bang, but it burns out fast. Intensity before trust feels unsafe, not romantic. A buddy of mine, he got the girl that he wanted. But he took it too fast, physically. The girl, she has hormones too, you know. It was hard for her to resist the advances. So while her heart was saying yes to the passion, her brain was telling her that this was not healthy, safe, or right. You know the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak scenario? Our emotions and our wisdom don't move at the same speed. Attraction may say, this feels good, while discernment says, this is not good for me. When those voices compete, it can create confusion and inner tension. And this led to the demise of their relationship. I felt so bad for the guy. He was my buddy. I'm like, you got the girl that you wanted, and you couldn't control yourself? Trust and attraction compound like long-term investments, not lottery tickets. A man who goes all in emotionally or logistically too early, moving cities, future promises, life rearrangements, often thinks he's proving commitment, but to a woman, it can feel like pressure without a foundation. Now, back to the ladies. In regards to the single biggest complaint or qualm coming from the ladies, I truly believe that the biblical model is that men initiate, pursue, and take responsibility. The cultural reality is that many men are insecure or underdeveloped. They're afraid, unsure of what's allowed. So, ladies, I know it sounds scandalous, but I encourage you to show interest. I know, shocking, right? Call the elders on me. Because if you don't, the alternative is good men staying single out of fear. Confident but unhealthy men doing all the pursuing. Women feeling overlooked and resentful, and this is not producing healthy marriages either. I had an assistant temporary working for me. She hit it off with the dentist in her office. She asked him out. Now they have a great relationship. He told her later that he was too afraid to ask her out. That's just the reality. I'm like, wow, dude, you're in your 50s, you're a prosthodont, you're a dental specialist, and you're too afraid to ask this girl out. Good thing she did. Now, I'm not telling the women to ask the guys out. I mean, who knows? Maybe I will change my stance. But at least, women, you can help the ladies out. You can initiate clarity without taking over pursuit. What you ladies can do: put on perfume, wear your best clothes, sneak into his bedroom after he's gone to sleep, uncover his feet, and lay down. This is straight biblical. That's what Naomi told Ruth to do. Put on your best clothes. No. Okay. But, start the conversations, express interest. Like, hey, I enjoyed talking with you. Create the obvious green lights. Even suggesting proximity, stuff like this. You know what? A few of us, we're going to go out to dinner after sundown. If you're free, you're welcome to join us. You know what I mean? You're not asking them directly on a date, but you're like, hey, we're going to go hang out. Come with us. Ask the guy for a small favor. Like this. Hey, this is super random, but can you help me settle a debate with my friend? Every man's brain immediately goes, ah, yes, I've been summoned as an authority. Here's a simple one. Can I ask you a guy question real quick? We men like this. I don't do. So drop the proverbial hanky. It's not pursuit, just permission. Sometimes guys just know that the road exists. Now, I still believe that men should initiate biblically, traditionally, and ideally. So yes, I way prefer a man to ask a woman out, but right now the dating scene looks less like leadership and more like a staring contest at church. Now, I'm going to skip through here. This is important to mention too, okay? Excuse me once again, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Gabe actually mentioned this just a little bit, but it's also in my note. I've heard horror stories where some ladies get asked out and they treat it like it's a marriage proposal. This goes both ways. I have a friend, and this guy, he was gonna, I forget what it was, he was gonna meet the girl or go on a date, and he wanted to be proper, so he called her father to ask his permission. It's just a date, guys, okay? You call a father's permission, that tells a woman something else, okay? And so we have to get off this thing where women start building castles because the guy asked her on a date. A date is just an invitation, not a declaration. It's a dinner, not a covenant. It's not proposing, it's ordering a meal. Now, along the same vein, there's a pattern that sometimes shows up in Christian spaces, and I do want to mention this, okay? When a woman is lonely or emotionally desperate, it's easy to misinterpret kindness as romantic interest. I was asked, why is this guy so arrogant? I go, he's not arrogant. But anytime he's nice to a girl, they perceive it as he liked me, he led me on. I'm getting some nods back there. It's true. And so we got to be careful we're not doing that to the men, okay? Just because they're nice. Oh, he liked me. Oh, he doesn't like me now. He's talking to someone else. No, he never liked you in the first place. He was just being nice. Thank you. Okay, so if someone asked you out, here's four possibilities. First, you're thrilled that he asked you out. Great. Number two, you never saw this coming. Zero chance. It's okay to say no. You can put him in the friend zone. Number three, you don't know him well, but even if there is the slightest possibility, like even 1 in a million, just give the guy a chance. Because there are so many stories where they went on the first date, they chance one more, and then so you know. So if there's even a chance, just give the guy a chance. And number four, you don't think he's your type, but you know what? Courage for him to ask. You're going to honor that. Go out to this doesn't make male or females better or worse or one better than the other. It just simply reflects that God designed us differently. So at the end, I'm going to just share this one last story and we're done, okay? Now, we have close family friends. They live in Newport and they're very well to do. They got lots of money. They're retired. It's a perfect home to be a dog. Anyways, they went to buy two poodles, big bucks for expensive. By side. Can you tell side by side? So, this was after 8 weeks. They took him home, but within the next 3 weeks, they just noticed that's not the poodle that they picked out. So they took the poodle back to the seller, and the seller could not deny that was not the poodle that they'd paid big bucks for. She said something like, "I'll give you a refund or another puppy." But guess what happened in the 3 weeks? They had this little unexpected surprise puppy. What do you think happened? They fell in love with little Timu poodle. So what do you do now? There was no way they would be trading this puppy for another puppy or asking for a refund. She was theirs, imperfect by the standards of the catalog, but loved because she belonged. They had fallen in love with her cute character and personality. They took the quirky little puppy home and have loved her ever since. I mean, these dogs live in the lap of luxury. Well-to-do, older, retired folks are home all day long to spoil these dogs. Inadvertently, this little puppy got the best life because serendipitously, this puppy got just a chance to spend just a little bit of time with Uncle Richard and Aunt Jenny. My wife was in Newport just a few months ago, so I asked her if she could send me pics of Mochi and Yeppy as they are now older. Can you go to the next slide? I wish I could tell you that this is Mochi, but it's not. It's Yeppy. Grown up and beautiful. Next slide. This is Mochi. She is now blind, still looks like a permutation of a real poodle, but loved just the same. Ladies, sometimes these men just need a chance to show you their true colors. There are no shortage of stories where a woman was not initially interested, but after giving a man a chance, getting to know him, grew to fall in love with the man and get married. It's been a blessing to be with you all, and may God bless all of you guys, and God bless Sean and Chanchi. It's a real ministry they do. This is not easy having this many people over all the time, so God bless you guys. Thank you guys.